Hello there.
You know what I've come for. This is the way.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Hello and welcome to the Podawakens as we recap the Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 7, In the Name of Honor. I am Jordan Wiegand, and with me today is Logan Stone.
How's it going, Jordan?
You know what? I'm with you till the end of the line. I gave my word, and so it looks like we're going to all die in the name of honor here.
It's really going to be unfortunate. I don't think I'm ready to go, but if you want to die, you go ahead. I'll be here for you.
Jeez. So you don't buy into that bantha fodder, I guess, huh?
This is not the way.
But yes, we're going to be recapping the Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 7, In the Name of Honor. Directed by Robert Rodriguez, written by Jon Favreau. Premiered February 9th, 2022 on Disney+. The synopsis is our typical synopsis here. Boba Fett and Fennec Shand face an escalating conflict. What was your initial thoughts, Logan, on In the Name of Honor?
I thought I was watching King Kong for a minute. No, but I really enjoyed. I thought they did a really good job. I mean, this was one that was very divisive, and we always talk about just how divisive things are here in Star Wars land. But I really enjoyed this whole run of 7 episodes. I thought they were all really well written. There was, maybe 1 or 2 things that were a little bit off for me, but other than that, I really enjoyed the series overall. And this 7th episode was just brilliant on the way that it kind of closed up what it needed to close up, and then I think it kind of leads to, some open-ended things that I think are going to get answered in Mandalorian when he comes back. So, yeah, I really did. I enjoyed all of this. I enjoyed, Boba Fett. I enjoyed Mando. I enjoyed that they kind of meshed them all together, and we got to finally see the 2 in action using their jetpacks. So made my heart happy. So that's pretty much just the pretty much spoiler-free version of it. My cat's gonna take down the whole thing again. But yeah, no, it was good. What do you think? Are you on the side of hating all of the episodes, Jordan?
Yes, the show is awesome now.
Horrible.
No, if people have listened to us
Right.
at all, they would know that we both have kind of enjoyed all these episodes. I do have some complaints about this one, which I'll just get into now to kind of get over it. And my main complaint just comes from the direction, and what I mean by that is the actual shooting of the show, not the direction that the story is going, but the direction of the show. Look, it was your typical Robert Rodriguez episode of Book of Boba Fett, which sucks to say because I actually really enjoyed his direction in The Mandalorian Season 2, the tragedy when Boba came back. I thought, some of that, I thought the action sequences in that were great. In this show, I even thought the first episode was fine. I really think episode 3 with that speeder chase at the end, that was just oddly put together.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like at times in this, some of the action was shot. It just felt slow.
Yeah.
Even him riding the Rancor at times I guess it's just the way that they insert so many. I think he just inserts so many shots that it seems slow because you're seeing things that you're like, okay, that should take a second. But he's like, all right, we're going to cut right, cut left, and then we're going to slowly rise from the bottom. I feel like a lot of the shots on the Rancor were coming up from the bottom of the Rancor, and you see Boba come over, and that's cool the first time, but I feel like that happened a few times where you're like, okay, I think that slowed it down. I don't know. I couldn't really put my finger on it. One of the things that I think some people are putting, too much emphasis on, but I thought it was funny because I noticed this when it happened, is when the mod guy just does a total unnecessary spin to do a shot,
Yeah.
which is funny. I saw it and laughed, and I was like, okay, that was kind of unnecessary. But some
Cheesy.
people are really ripping that, which, no shock, I guess, Star Wars fans. But some people were really getting on it, and I just thought it was funny because I was like, that was kind of unnecessary.
It's kind of their style, though. Like it's kind of like
the mod style.
Yeah, they're very much like artists in a way. So I think that kind of had that feel of like they're hip, they're cool, they get to spin and shoot blasters.
And I saw some people comparing it to like Obi-Wan doing a spin on Darth Vader and the Death Star and stuff.
Mhm.
Where I would say it's different is I feel like that was slowed. This was slowed down. It was another like slow-mo, and I think that was what threw me off too. Is some of the action was slow-moed. Boba Fett falling off of the Rancor, slow-mo.
Mhm.
Some of the shots of people falling down, slow-mo. And I don't think that fits as well with Star Wars. So I think there was a few times where I was kind of like, oh, another slow-mo. Like just, it's fine. It's his style. But I think that is where some of the people have had problems with the direction. But overall, I thought it was a good episode. I mean, I thought story-wise, it tied everything up. I've seen some really odd takes. I've seen some people say this retroactively makes Mandalorian season 1 and 2 awful, and I just can't see that. Them saying that, okay, so they built to Grogu being a Jedi, but only like 2 episodes later, he's back with Mando for season 3 premiere. Yeah, but did you ever think he wasn't going to pick Mando? Right. And what is the Mandalorian without Grogu? It really is. These characters are so attached to each other. There is no season 3 without Grogu. And I think where I land on it is these shows, we have to stop thinking about people going from Mandalorian season 2 right to season 3 and being like, what? Because if they're not watching Book of Boba Fett, that's their fault. And what I mean by that is the end of season 2 with the end credit scene says, hey, the next chapter of this is the Book of Boba Fett. So if you didn't go watch that, then that's on you. And I think at this point now, with people talking about it, people are going to tell people, okay, if you watch Mandalorian, make sure you go Mandalorian 1, Mandalorian 2, Book of Boba Fett, then Mandalorian season 3. That stuff just gets known after a while. It's like, how do people find out what Bond film to watch in order? They're not numbered. For some of these things that are not numbered, okay, how do I know what order to watch in? People Google it. And people are going to Google this. And if they don't Google it, it says it right in the show. That's why that teaser of that was there. It's not just a teaser for what's to come next. It's a teaser for people that watch season 2 3 years from now and see that and say, oh, I guess I have to watch Book of Boba Fett next. And then they watch Book of Boba Fett and then they see this stuff and they're like, oh, okay, now that makes sense. Now I can go to Mandalorian season 3. Because where does this show end at? The show ends with Grogu and Mando taking off in the Naboo Starfighter. And then, you get the end credit scene with Cobb Vanth, which we don't really know what show that's going to matter in. But for all the people that thought, I saw a lot of people think we're going to get a Obi-Wan trailer at the end of this. I said it doesn't make any sense. Book of Boba Fett teaser was literally to tell you what show to watch next and to tell you this is next. In this timeline. If we were to see a teaser for Obi-Wan, you're like, okay, so they're teasing something that took place 30 years ago. Like it doesn't make any sense. So I never expected an Obi-Wan teaser.
No.
Here. But speaking of
Next
Obi-Wan
week?
Kenobi, May 25th.
Or Sunday?
Maybe a trailer on the Super Bowl.
Like even just a teaser? Like
yeah, maybe.
I can see it.
But we're getting it May 25th, which I know a lot of people were upset it wasn't May 4th, but let's be real here. May 25th is the actual anniversary of A New Hope releasing in theaters in 1977. So this is actually a more significant day than a jokey meme day of May the 4th, which actually has no significance to Star Wars at all, except for it's a pun. So I actually would rather be on this May 25th.
It'd be interesting too to like on Sunday. That'd be so cool if they just like dropped in another show right before, just like, oh yeah, by the way, you didn't know this was coming.
I'll be in Disney World, so if that were to happen, I would immediately have to run and watch whatever it is that gets dropped.
It'll be interesting because I mean, I'll definitely, I don't know what you'll be doing, but I'll be keeping you updated as you're here, um, going around the parks. But I'm thinking that definitely Marvel, but I do think you're gonna get something as far as Star Wars. Like I feel like this is a big, there's like a lot to fill, and I feel like this is a good time they could
From
possibly fill in some.
from the leaks I've seen, I don't think it's going to have any
No.
Star Wars. Yeah, from what we've seen, though I do think maybe Kenobi will get a trailer soon. I just don't know if it's going to be. What would be? See, they don't have the rights to March Madness. I was going to say maybe that, but I don't think they have the rights to that. So that's on CBS and all that. So
Like the NBA playoffs,
maybe well, yeah, they start in April, right?
like in April.
That'd be a perfect time for a trailer.
One of the big games, like the NBA playoff games.
Yeah, after Harden forced a trade to the 76ers.
Yeah, because you're not wrong. Like they don't own a lot of the properties in the spring. Like they just
Right.
don't.
And they don't own the Super Bowl either, but people will shell out money for that because it's the Super Bowl.
They were waiting to do it on Sunday Night Baseball.
Yeah, they're like, crap, this ain't gonna happen.
It's gonna be bowling. So like, it's in the bowling match tonight, guys.
You know what? That'd be the highest rated bowling match of all time. If you're like, during 10-pin bowling, we have Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer. I'd be like, I'll check that out. Okay, what frame are you having it in? The 7th? All right, I'll check the 7th frame.
Let's ask Matt what that means.
Yeah. Yeah, how long does it typically take, Matt, in a
right
in a regular bowling game to get to the 7th frame? We're trying to find out when we have to turn it on for the Obi-Wan trailer. That'd be funny. But yeah, so I guess let's get a little deeper into this. And then we'll kind of talk about where we think maybe the story goes from here. But yeah, we led off with Grogu flying in the X-Wing. Luke sent Grogu, I guess, express certified mail. I don't know what you want to call it. Some people have said an Uber, that R2's the Uber driver here. But some people are really ripping Luke for this, too. I don't think this is a problem. Luke trusts R2 with his life. I don't think he would really care. Plus, the New Republic is the main...
Yeah, the
force in space. So if they just saw an X-Wing, they're not going to be like, pull that thing over. Yeah, I don't know. There's like no real problem, I think, with him sending, him on a little R2 drive. But he flies right to Pelimoto's hangar, and she's. I love that she originally thinks that this is some sort of X-Wing checking on her or something, and she's like, "No, officer, I have, I'm currently renewing my license." Pretty much is what she's saying. But we get her opening up the cockpit, and we see Grogu, and she sees his chainmail shirt, so we know that he had chosen Mando. If there was any question there, what was your thoughts on this? When you saw the X-Wing, were you thinking we'd see Luke? I knew we weren't going to, because I felt like seeing the back of the X-Wing clued me in that they didn't want to show us that Luke wasn't with us yet.
Yeah, I figured as much. When I saw R2, I was like, there's no way that Luke's there. Like I just felt like I was like, I don't know. It felt like a thing that he could have just done by himself and taken Grogu. But I don't know. It seemed really weird. Like when they first showed R2, I'm like, they wouldn't be showing R2 if Luke was there, I don't think. Like it would have gone right to Luke and then R2. But it was like, okay, that's kind of weird. And then the fact that it stayed open for so long, I'm like, he's not short. Like he's not, like you would see him in the X-Wing, and he didn't. So I was like, yeah, this is him sending Grogu back to Tatooine. So it was interesting because I saw somewhere too where people are still writing about like the fact that when R2 goes, this is Grogu, and she goes, oh, I don't really like that name. Like, what kind of name is that? And then a bunch of people are like jumping on it and going, yeah, it's a horrible name. We've been telling them that for, I'm like, it's not like it was made as a joke. It wasn't made as like they're going to change his name. It was annoying, but I don't know. I really like this series too, or this lead.
It was a reference. It was a reference to the fact that, yes, there was a small contingent of people that when Grogu was named said that this is awful. No, and my thought behind it is actually no matter what you would have named Grogu, people would not have liked it because at
Right.
that point we were calling him Baby Yoda for close to 2 years. Um, so nobody was gonna like whatever they have to adapt to. But I feel like the reason why it really feels odd now, Logan, is because we're a year and a half later, and Grogu is just his name.
Mhm.
Like that's what we all call. Like I know people still call him Baby Yoda a lot, but like in text with you, Matt, and like Joy, whoever I'm texting, I call him Grogu. So do
Yeah.
you.
Mhm.
So like it definitely is something that we've taken to, and I think it sounds like a cute name.
I like the name.
I would like to name a dog that. Like if
Me
I get
too,
another
yeah.
dog, I think Grogu would be a really cool dog name. Joy's gonna say no to that. I guess.
That or Cobb Vanth. Like, I'd love to name a dog Cobb
Cobb
Vanth. Get over here.
Cobb Vanth. Vanth refrigeration. Yeah, no, that was a great opening though, to just kind of immediately resolve that, which I was fine with. I feel like it would have been worse if they left it for season 3 because while this is called the Book of Boba Fett, that choice was shown in this show. So I feel like you have to resolve it in this show. All right, so we also get Cad Bane talks to the Pikes. And he finds out that the Pikes are actually the ones that killed the Tusken Raiders. And he kind of seems upset about this. He says, does Boba Fett know that? Because I think his reason is if Boba finds out about that, he's going to, kill us all. Now, he does end up being the one to tell Boba, but he does this as a way to try to get underneath of Boba's skin a bit. And I think that is kind of what he wanted, I guess. He I think was going for mass chaos. I don't think he cares if the Pikes win this spice war or not.
Yeah,
I
no.
think Cad is like, if I get my money, I'm good. If I can get under Boba Fett's skin, I'm even better because I don't like Boba. Like they have this history. And I think that was kind of his thought process on finding out that information and then providing that information almost immediately to Boba.
I do like the scene when he walks in with the Pike Syndicate and he's just like, you can just tell that he commands a room. He's like, this is it's my way or the highway. And then leading up to that part where he does come out and he's talking to Boba, like, this is what's going on. My favorite part is like almost like, oh, I know there's a way to get him. At first, I'm not going to lie, I thought Cad Bane had Grogu for some reason, or like had learned that Grogu was there and that's how he was going to get Boba to walk out. But instead, he just kind of walks up and goes, okay, let's see if I can draw him out of here. And he does. But I was shocked. I was like, dang, Cad Bane's just like, no, this is what they're doing. Let the spice move through here. And Boba's like, no. And he's like, well, yeah, you need to. You need to do it. Otherwise, you're going to have a bigger problem on your hands. And this is exactly what they're doing. Sold him out.
Yeah, and I guess we forgot to mention, I think the episode actually starts off with my synopsis here that I picked started with Grogu, but I think it actually starts off in Garza Thwip's place.
Yeah.
Blown up.
Yeah.
And Boba and Fennec surveying the damage and Din being there as well. So that's where we kind of start with. But we also find out, Fennec says they're not going to be able to catch us like aware, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they got Chrysanthemum in the Trandoshan area, which maybe is a good choice, maybe a bad choice. I don't know. I mean, it's a good choice because he already hates them, so he won't have a problem like wrecking some. But they also hate him, so I mean that's kind of a downside. And then you have the mods are somewhere. I have no idea.
They were
where
kind of
they
like
are.
traveling through, like it was weird. Like
they were kind of parked at a bit though. They kind of parked and were like doing something.
Yeah.
And then we had the Gamorreans at the top of the bowl. They're not going to last long.
Thrown off the cliff like right away. I was like, oh my gosh.
And is that it? Who else do we have? Yeah,
Because
I
the
think that
other
was
ones
it.
are outer liars. Yeah, like it's
So
just them.
they find out that we get 88, the droid, comes up and says, well, somebody is approaching, and Boba's like, well, so much for not being caught like unawares here. And it's Cad Bane, and they do their little standoff. Cad Bane says to him, you've gone soft in your old age. And
We all do.
yeah, we all do. And Cad is older than Boba, so he did not go soft. So I guess we all don't. But but he's I like that they reference Cad being old, because Cad would be old at this point. So many people are surprised he's even around at this point. Yeah, so he would be old. We have Fennec and Din kind of backing up Boba here, but Cad has the pikes. This is where Cad tells him that the pikes are the ones that killed the Tuskens, which makes Boba almost lose his cool, but he does kind of resist, I think, thanks to Fennec kind of telling him to cool down a bit. Then we get the Major Domo is in the sanctuary as well, and Boba is going to send him out there with his terms of surrender, which he didn't read before he goes out there. Big mistake. Big mistake. He goes out there and says that Boba's willing to give them nothing, and he's about to get shot here, but Boba and Din were actually using him as a distraction, and they're going to jetpack in here, and we get a cool kind of back-to-back shot of them flying in and then going, back-to-back and just taking on as many pikes as they can and getting shot at, but thankfully the Beskar armor is going to repel the shots. What do you think of this action scene?
First, I loved when they send the mayor out, because it was right when he did it, right when he handed it over to him, like, he's not going to read that. He's going to go out there and make a complete fool of himself. Who's the actor that plays him? Because he's brilliant. Like he's fantastic when he's playing the mayor, because he almost has like a kind of like a Martin Short.
He's not the mayor, but he's the Major Domo.
Major Domo. Sorry. But he reminds me a little bit, like the way that he kind of talks and his mannerisms remind me of Martin Short a little bit.
Yeah, it's like David Pasquesi.
Okay, because he was great in that scene, and it's kind of like, all right, I know what they're doing now. Like they're clearly planning something, because I feel like Boba and Jin or Din. Sorry, I'm reading a book with a character named Jin in it. But when Din and Boba are already waiting for what is going to happen, I feel like they feel the tides have kind of shifted, and we don't, there's things getting ready to happen that'll kind of clarify that. But it was very interesting to kind of watch that, and then we get what we wanted. I mean, we get them both in action, and up on and using jetpacks and all sorts of different things that they can use to fight and put up a stand, and it was cool. It was one of my favorite scenes of the whole episode.
Yeah, it's a really great scene that I think is probably the best action. I thought it was really probably the best action scene. I loved seeing Boba like use his knee rocket things, and Din got to use the little birdie things, whatever they're called, whistling birds. Got to use them again, and once we think we're kind of done with that, he's actually going to send Fennec to take on the mayor and the Pikes and the three families at the at Mos Eisley, and this leaves Fennec kind of not doing anything for the rest of the episode till the very end, when she's going to kill all of them in there in a really cool way. But yeah, we get when all seems to be almost lost here, as we find out the three families betray them. Chrysanthemum looks like he's going to die for the first time in this episode. And then we get the mods being pinned back. Fennec saves them right before she takes off. Then everything looks to be really rough here as the Pikes come forward, but the people of Freetown have arrived, and they say that Cad Bane shot the sheriff in cold blood. And I thought, okay, well, maybe he is dead then. But the end credit scene that we'll talk about in a bit and where we think that will go shows Cobb Vanth in the back to tank and about to get modded. It looks like we'll talk about that at the end. But then we get at the end of that 2 droidica type droids here, which are called, I think, Scorpionic droids, that are big shielded droids. It's hard for them to get through the shields, even with the Darksaber. Can't really get through the shield, and that causes a lot of them to have to flee. We do get Kersantin coming back and limping pretty crazy. I thought he was dead.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, it makes sense. They wouldn't show him die off camera, I guess. And then, we get the few, like the 2 main mods make it. And the people of Freetown, Din and Boba, and the Gamorreans fall off their cliff to their death. And we get, Din distracting one of the droids. And as he's running, he's going to run into Pelimoto, who has brought Grogu into the midst of battle. Of course, she doesn't know what's going on. But, Grogu's kind of covered by a blanket here, and he's like, get out of here. What are you guys doing here? And then she's like, I brought you a gift, and Grogu just flies into Mando's arms. It is the cutest thing here, and it was great to see them reunited. I saw a lot of people saying that they didn't feel anything during this scene, but I don't know how you couldn't.
Heartless.
Because I think it is, look, again, this is what I'm going to say. While, yes, if you were to watch Mandalorian Season 2 and then go right into Season 3, you're like, well, he's not even gone. But if you watch these as we've been watching them, it's already been a year and 2 months since Season 2 ended. We started getting Book of Boba Fett a year after Season 2 ended. It didn't get until episode 6 that we saw Grogu out of 7. So for us, it has been a while, and it's been long enough where I'm like, I'm ready for them to be together again.
Right.
And it helps that they showed a whole episode 5 where Mando was on his own without him. I felt like we've already kind of seen him apart.
Mm-hmm.
Now, take it as if you're watching this show 3 years from now, Logan, and you watch Season 1, you watch Season 2, and you're like, okay, now I have to watch Book of Boba Fett. You still get 5 episodes of no Grogu and Din together. You get episode 6 of Grogu even appearing. And then you get the 7th episode where they team up. That's still like you almost watch a whole nother season of a show without them.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I feel like this is fine. I think people are only thinking it's very short because they thought maybe this was what Season 3 is about, but that's not the plan. The plan was to have this as kind of a 3rd season that kind of continues the story. And this is where we kind of got that break from them being together.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like it would feel like a extended period of time that you go without seeing them together. And you also have to remember that just because this is happening now with Boba Fett doesn't mean like time stands still for Mando, and Mando's just chilling back at the crib waiting to meet up.
We don't know how long this is after Season 2.
It's a long time, it seems, because of how much time has passed that you can tell like Grogu has been with Luke, and Luke's clearly grown up. He's taught him a lot of stuff, I think. So because when he's meditating and he's lifting the front, like that got to take a long time. Like
I would say this is probably between a month to 3 months, which while people will say it's probably not a long time, it is. If you are ever away from, I don't have kids yet, but I would assume if you're ever away from your kid for a month to 3 months, you're like, that's a long time of being apart. And
Right.
I feel that way just with my dogs, you know.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
So you know, imagine that's the way Din feels about Grogu, and Grogu feels that Din is his father. So imagine going away from your dad or your parents for 1 to 3 months. We don't. That's my guess here. It's not like it was a day later. It's a couple months, and then having the reunion. And I know it wasn't some people said it deserved a bigger reunion than it did because it was during a hectic scene. I'm sure we're going to get tons of good stuff in season 3. So enough for me was he jumped into his arms. Din gives him the little ball from the Razor Crest. You know, like we got some of those great moments that I think.
And he like reaches up to Mando to like touch his helmet.
Yes, he's like, take the helmet off. That's what he's telling him to do.
And he's like, and the other thing too is he goes, "I miss you too, kid. I missed you a lot." Like it had a very standstill moment. If you go back and watch it, it's about 15 seconds of him interacting with him like up close and personal, and that's when he kind of like reaches towards the helmet because he's seen Din without the helmet on, and he wants to see Din, and he and the other thing too, like it's happening in a hectic moment. Grogu doesn't care. Grogu's just like, I want to see my dad. Like, this is the person that raised me, that cares enough for me, that has protected me for so long. And they kind of have that same relationship too. Like Din's been protected multiple times by Grogu, and we'll get into even more so later on. But it's very much, and I love that part where he's just like, I missed you too, kid. Kid, I missed you a lot.
This is where we get Boba riding on the Rancor, which was awesome. And we get...
Did you know where he was going? Like, did you have any idea? I had no idea what he was going
I figured because I felt like that was built up in episode 3, I think it was, and we didn't get it. So I felt like it had to be soon. But yeah, he goes and gets the Rancor. He's going to ride on the Rancor. He's going to wreck one of the droids' shields enough that Din's going to be able to go in there and defeat it with the Darksaber. And then I think the other one he just rips in half. But yeah, it was pretty cool to see a Rancor just going through the city and wrecking droids. And yeah. Well, then the Rancor is going to get spooked. He's going to get thrown off, Boba is, and he's going to have to go up against Cad Bane without his Rancor. And that's where we get the last standoff between Cad Bane and Boba Fett, which kind of calls back to the one that we've never seen. That's just an unfinished cartoon. But he even kind of mentions it in here when he says to Cad, I'm not a boy anymore. I'm not a little boy anymore. And guess what? Cad is still the fastest shot. Still takes him down, but he's doing his villain monologue saying about how soft he's gone, being with the Tuskens, and Boba Fett is instead going to destroy him with the gaffy stick he got from the Tuskens to prove to Cad Bane that he's not soft. His time with the Tuskens has actually made him more versatile. I feel like if he had gone up against this fight before he met the Tuskens, he'd probably be dead. He probably would not have been able to overcome this from Cad. So it made him stronger, and it made him take out, one of his rivals. Some people think Cad Bane's still alive. No, I don't think so.
No.
Stabs him pretty good.
He's pretty dead.
And now I did think maybe that was who's going to be in the back to tank. I was like, man, Boba's saving Cad. But I think it's best to let Cad Bane go. I know some people that have hated this episode just because Cad Bane died, and I think that's ridiculous. I guess you can not like the way that they treated him, but I think, look, Cad is so old at this time. We can't keep bringing people back from the dead in Star Wars. Some of these deaths have to actually mean something. So that's where I kind of stand on it. I think Cad is dead, and I hope he is, as bad as that sounds, because I think he fulfilled his purpose here. It sucks that it's only 2 episodes he appears in. I think they should have maybe introduced him earlier in the show, so that way it feels more like an overall big bad. but I don't know, it kind of is what it is. But yeah, Cad Bane bites it here.
Yeah, I love that he uses the gaffy stick to take out Cad after Cad is blatantly honest about them, or first about the Tuscans being absolutely slaughtered, and then he goes and tries to kind of push Boba again in his buttons, and he says, this is the Tuscan Raiders made you go soft, man. And he goes, "Oh yeah, let me show you what they taught me." He smacks him down with it. I was like, "This is great! Like that was fantastic." And it was, man. It was like Boba and Din both got pretty beat up in this episode. That when they were talking, like when Din was like, "I'm not leaving you, Boba. Like this isn't how it works. This is." And then I love that part where Boba goes, "You believe it?" Kind of like, "You believe in that crap?" And Din's like, "Well, yeah." And it's weird because Din is not really Mandalore anymore, technically, because he's been kind of outs now because of everything that he's done, and he's taken off his helmet. Like he's broken code, so he doesn't really have to follow the code, yet he still follows the code. And then it's really funny because Boba has that same kind of thought process, like to honor each other and go down in honor. And that's one of the most honorable things that Din could have done, was just to, turn to Boba and go, "I'm ready to die with you if that's what it's going to take."
And he does it for the Creed
Mhm.
that has actually shunned him from being an actual Mandalorian, which I thought was interesting. That he's like, no, I still follow this.
This
So
is
it
the
does
way.
make me wonder if this is still going to be his way. He still uses this is the way. I do hope he loosens up on it. I do think he should be able to show Grogu his face as much as Grogu wants to see it. Yeah, but it is nice too when Din sees that he put the shirt on, and he's like,
Mhm.
"Oh, they gave it to you. Like you actually put it on." He
Right.
doesn't know that it was a choice.
Mhm.
I think maybe that'll somehow be relayed to him. But yeah, Grogu is going to save Din by putting the Rancor to sleep, which takes a lot of energy and also makes Grogu go to sleep like he's wont to do after using the Force. And he curls up right next to the Rancor. So cute. And yeah, it was great. I was really upset when the mods are starting to shoot at the Rancor. I'm like, are you guys idiots?
Right.
You just saw that he was tearing up people for shooting at him, and
Mhm.
you're gonna shoot at him too. And Din, is like, hey, cut it out. You're upsetting it. You're scaring it.
Mhm.
And he tries to ride it, doesn't. Then the Rancor tries to eat him, but luckily he wears Beskar armor. And then that's when Grogu puts him to sleep, and it was a nice moment here. And again, one of the times where we see the difference with Grogu now is that he's purposely doing this stuff.
Mhm.
He willingly went out there and stood in front of the Rancor and did it, which I think he would have tried in the past. But you can see how he's grown
Yeah.
and matured a bit. He wasn't just trying to. Now, for one of the droids that he was trying to just get a shiny bit of metal, that he was
Right.
playing with. But when it came time to save Din, he went and saved his dad.
It seemed much more like it was not like that glimmer of hope, like oh my gosh, you have to get this done or we're gonna both die here. It was more of like, nah, I got this. Like let me just do it. And I think that it showed too just how much time had passed. Like it shows that he really did. That had to take a long time for Grogu to learn, because it wasn't like he just lifted him. It wasn't like he just kind of like shut him down. It was like, no, you're going to sleep, and we're both going to sleep. But yeah, I think that had a lot to do with it. Just
He's
the
like,
kind
it's
of
nap
that
time.
time.
Is that how Luke would get Grogu to sleep? He's
I'm
like
thinking.
doing that, and then Luke would start going to sleep too, and he's like, oh boy. Um, in Mos Eisley, Fennec is going to kill the Pike boss, the mayor, and the other crime lords. She's gonna hang one of them. That was hangs the mayor. That's pretty
Right.
brutal. And then back at Mos Espa, they're all praising everybody, and we get the kind of the happy ending here as we see Boba just a little beat up, having trouble doing his saluting and his bowing because of his injuries. And we have him kind of telling Fennec, maybe we're not cut out for this. Especially because he was going to end the spice trade, which Fennec's like, dude, that's like most of Jabba's money. So it's like he was more of a sheriff, cleaned up the town like a Cobb Vanth. So maybe this sets Cobb Vanth up to be the sheriff of Mos Espa, and maybe Boba's free to move on and do whatever he wants. Or, since they were going to make Rangers of the New Republic, and it was rumored Cara Dune was going to be leading that, maybe they instead replace her with Cobb Vanth. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, there's multiple ways they can go with it here. But we get the happy ending where you're like, oh, he told Chrysanthemum he was going to give him the Bacta tank, but then we see Chrysanthemum, and he talks about how the Bacta is being used right now, and you're like, okay, so it's not one of them that's in it, and it was Cobb Vanth. But we kind of get them laughing with each other, and then it kind of pans up, and that's when we get to see Grogu sitting in the droid spot of the Naboo N1 starfighter, and he wants, just like the famous words of Ricky Bobby, he wants to go fast, and he's going to keep tapping on the glass for Din to go fast. Which was cute. And he's like, okay, one more time. I don't know how many times he's already done it at this point, but he's like, all right, just one more time here. And he takes off, and that's what we're left with. And we get the credits, and we actually get lyrics to the theme song now that is singing the name of Boba Fett. I thought was pretty nice touch on that stuff as well. But yeah, it looks like Cobb Vanth's going to get some cybernetic enhancements. And where does this leave us, Logan? Are we getting a season 2 of Book of Boba Fett, or is Boba's journey continuing in The Mandalorian? Is he no longer going to be the daimyo of Mos Espa? What do you see in the future for Boba Fett?
I think they use him in Mando's season 3. Like, I think that it's pretty realistic that they just keep kind of playing off of one another, and Boba, controlling that area, and having the respect that he does. I don't know if they'll see a ton of him, but I do think that there's room for him, and I think that Fennec too. Like, I feel like she's not quite done, so I think that they do play a part in season 3 possibly. There might be instances where this is kind of like a back and forth thing. I owe you, you owe me, kind of thing. But I think it'll be interesting because I don't know. I wonder if this is all coming to an end all together, like you said, like if they're expecting this huge mashup of all these characters, and where this all leads, because I feel like you can't just end Boba there. Like, that just doesn't seem like the right way to end him. They still have the Bacta tank, so I think that with Cobb Vanth in the Bacta tank, I think that there's got to be some kind of playback to it, and it's got to kind of relate to what Boba Fett's doing. So I don't know, it'll be interesting, but I really did. I enjoyed the ending. I loved Grogu freaking out because he wanted to go to hyperspeed, and he was cute as always. But yeah, I think that Boba goes into season 3 with Mando, and Mando. It'll be interesting. He's obviously got to get control of the Darksaber, because that is clearly something he's still struggling mightily with, as we saw when he was trying to knock out one of the droids. So he's still trying to get control of that. I do think there's going to be part of that where he's going into, what was it, like the depths of Mandalore to get, that ability to become, the king of Mandalore and rule all. So that'll be interesting. I think Cobb Vanth, I think that's more of, maybe he's more projected to kind of help out with Mando, maybe. I don't know. It'll be interesting what he ends up in. But like you said, I think Cara Dune having the issues that the actress did, I think that's kind of a clear replacement if they're trying to do that.
Yeah. I think, I don't know. I've seen some people say that this was referred to as the season finale. Some people, I think, said it just says finale. So I'm not really sure where we kind of sit with this. I think with the reaction the show got, I wouldn't be surprised if we do not get a season 2 and instead do see Boba in Mando season 3. But to be honest, they have to film these things so far in advance. I'm not sure if they would have any time to alter plans. I'm sure he was going to show up in season 3 anyway. So, but maybe they don't get a season 2, and maybe they do adapt Boba into one of the other shows that they're making. Ahsoka is supposed to start filming in April apparently as well, so I'm sure we'll get Ahsoka and Luke scenes in there. Yeah, but I think look, it will be a little jarring if people do watch Mando 1, 2, and 3, and they're like, I thought he gave up Grogu, but look, like I said, there's an end credit scene to kind of lead you in the right spot. But I'm excited for season 3 of The Mandalorian, and ready to see what they provide us. But before we get there, we've got Obi-Wan Kenobi and Andor coming out this year, along with Bad Batch season 2. So lots of Star Wars stuff to come in the year before we get the Mandalorian season 3. So really looking forward to how that's going to go. I guess just overall, Logan, your thoughts on the Book of Boba Fett, and where maybe it ranks on your live action TV shows out of the 3 seasons we have of live action TV for Star Wars.
I mean, I think it's 3rd, but that's just because Mando is so good. And I think you can see that. Like, I think that's the other part that kind of sucks, is that they did have to bring Mando into this, and it made sense for them to bring him into this. It was going to happen anyway. And the thing that really sucks is, I think, because Mando was so good, it made it even better for people that were like, oh, well, this is just not a good show until Mando showed up. It was a good show. Like, it had everything, and it was much more political. Like, Boba's much more political anyway. Like, we got a character. They characterized him as being more of the political crime lord, and it's kind of like those mafia movies where it's a little bit slower action. It might not be the most high octane action that you'd ever see, but it was definitely it had really cool political thought in behind it, and just kind of like how he rules over the crime ring and how it impacts the societies in around it. So I thought it was great. And I always like these kind of shows too, that it's more of like he's the puppet master and kind of, trying to balance out what's going on and getting rid of bad things in the planet and the universe. So overall, I thought 3rd on my rankings, but it was, I loved it. Like I will watch it again and again, because I do enjoy it. So it'll make the rewatches, when you have to stick them in between the movies and stuff, it'll make it a lot more fun, because it gives you a lot of background on Boba Fett, and it gives you a lot of background on Luke and where he was after the Empire falls and stuff. So, and we got to see Luke. Like, that's huge. I think people forget that that's such a huge moment, that we finally get to see Luke doing what he did after, in between when you see him there and then you see him in Force Awakens. So I don't know, it was really cool. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that. 3rd place. But just because of how strong I think the other 2 are. I did enjoy this one. Probably not going to rewatch it as much as I rewatch some of the other stuff, but episodes 5 and 6 will definitely get the rewatch. I'll be rewatching this one tonight, because Joy hasn't seen it yet, so I will be rewatching this one tonight after all of our podcasts we have to do. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and start wrapping it up here, but I guess join us for Kenobi in May. If Bad Batch season 2 releases before that, I guess I'll try to do some recaps of that. I'm probably not going to do weekly ones, just because all the other stuff going on, and I kind of fell off of that last time. But maybe like a full season breakdown or something afterwards, or a mid-season breakdown. I don't know, something like that for a premiere, maybe a mid-season that covers everything, and then a finale for Bad Batch or something. I think that could be a way to do it without burning out. So, yeah. So if you want to give us a follow on Twitter @podawakens, Facebook.com/podawakens, Instagram @podawakens. And that's it. Email is podawakens@gmail.com, and we will see you next time.
I have spoken.